Hi, my name is Jessica Klingerman. I am here with the TCP training team. My colleague Cassidy Dykstra, another training coordinator, is here with me as well. And we are here to give you some updates on the training transcript as of July 2023. A caveat for that is that this may depend how this impacts you. Some of this may be dependent on your current contract, but the changes we have are being rolled out in July generally. So for some general updates here, we are making changes to different parts of our training catalog and what we're offering and what is required of that. So as far as our trainings go, some of our vendors will be changing, and our training materials are also going to be updated and changed a little bit. So some of the materials that you've seen in past years may be different, some may overlap, but you can expect to see some changes in those trainings generally. The format will also be changing. We, at the moment, we have a new training, new as of the past couple of months. This is our HIPAA training, which is available as an on-demand version. So that will not be a training that you are required to attend at a certain time, such as 9 a.m. on Thursday. This is something that you can take anytime. Additionally, we are looking at using another software, which will be replacing some of the softwares we have been using. And there is more information to come as that develops, but stay tuned and you can expect that hopefully some of your desires for training will be met. And importantly, the requirements for training will be changing as well. So that will be changes as far as the frequency of training, the frequency you have to attend training, and the audience. So who has to attend which trainings. So those are general changes that you can expect to see. And the really big change, which some of the previous changes I just talked about, the frequency and audience, those are reflected in our training transcript. So the training transcript, as you're aware, is similar to a transcript in school where you have to attend certain classes or meet certain requirements in order to fulfill your training duties per your contract. If you don't remember what the training transcript looks like, this is a photo or a screenshot of a previous example of, or a previous training transcript. You can see that here. And please note, the sections that are under staff training. So you've got the name of the training, whether or not it's completed, whether or not you received your certificate, when you received it, who has to attend, and the time frame. Some of those things will stay consistent and some will not. So the big changes that are taking place and are going into effect from us in July, and again, that will roll out for you depending on your contract. We have sent information specifically about how that will impact each provider going forward. So you can refer to those emails we sent out or contact us with any questions. But in general, the changes that we are making are about the titles of the trainings, the frequency of the trainings, and the audience. Again, we have those changes that are happening in the trainings as far as the vendors and the material. And so with that, we are going to be moving from talking about the title of a required training to the topic that it covers. So DHS requires TCP to provide trainings by topic, not title. So what that means is they may say to us, hey, you need to provide a training on CPR and motivational interviewing, but they don't tell us, hey, you need to provide a training called this specific thing. So we have heard the request to offer less train or, reduce the amount of trainings and make it more time effective. We understand that time is precious for providers, and ultimately you want to be spending time focusing on your day-to-day work and working with your clients. So we are going to be combining some of the material within those trainings. So, for example, our motivational interviewing and stages of change, those are previously two separate trainings. Those are topics that we have to cover per DHS. And now, instead of offering them as two separate trainings, one is just motivational interviewing and one just stages of change, we are now offering a class called the Motivation for Change, which combines both of those topics into a single training. So, in order to avoid any confusion, we will now be moving to tracking on the transcript which topics you've attended, not by the title. So, since the title of one training may no longer exist and it may cover different topics, to avoid that confusion, we're just asking you, please provide information on topics. And we'll show you what that looks like. This is going to allow us to have flexibility for future changes so we can continue to improve the trainings that we're offering and be responsive to feedback you're receiving without having to redo a bunch of things. And for clarity, the certificates that we send or that are sent from the training vendors will list the topics that are covered. So if you attend the Motivation for Change training that we offer, your certificate will say this covers motivational interviewing and stages of change. So you know for your training transcript that you've covered both topics. So what does this mean? So looking at this updated version of the transcript, you'll see that the first column says training topic, and those are all filled in by us. So you receive this and it will list out the training topics that likely you will need to attend. That may vary by contract, so check your contract, but generally these are the training topics that you will have to attend. Next to it, you'll see that there's a column that says training title. So looking at this, we can see that these training topics are listed out and the training title is next to it. So if you were to take a training that covered domestic violence, you see that it is there on your transcript. Next to it, you would write in what the name of that training title is. So right now, our domestic violence class is Domestic Violence 101. So you would just write that in there. So for example, we offer a class that covers cultural competency and customer service. So for that, you would write in the name of that training in the training title section for each box. So you would write it next to cultural competency and you would write it next to customer service. So because it's the same training, you'd be writing the title both times, but rather than taking two trainings now, you're just taking the one. So it's a little bit more writing, but more time you're saving. Next to that, you'll see the date of completion, which is standard based on the previous transcript that we offer. So looking at this, you may say to yourself, well, how do I know which topics are covered under which trainings? I know I'll have it on my certificate, but how do I know? Well, for our course catalog, instead of offering all this information in a Word document, we are now changing to an Excel worksheet. So you would look at this, which is on our website. This is our TCP training course catalog. And on this, there will be a tab that says current and archived. The current tab is going to show you what the training title is, and then to the left, what the topics covered are. Next to that, you'll have the description of what the training is about. You'll see how frequently we offer that training, when we are first offering the training, and then any additional information you may need to know about it. So this is in contrast to the archived tab on this on this Excel workbook. So this will show in gray previous trainings that we have offered. So many folks will be transitioning from the transcripts they have as of June 2023 to the new type of transcript we're offering and we'll be using in July going forward, again, based on your contract. So check with your administration at your program. But this will show trainings that we'd offered in the past. You know how to enter this information on your new transcript. So for example, our previous class, clinical case management, that covered SMART goals, DAP, and SOAP notes. So those are the topics covered. So you could enter that on your transcript, and it will have the description of what it covers, how often it was offered, when we started offering this, and then the last month that we offered this training. So if you're not sure, did I take the old conflict resolution class? Did I take a new one? You can see, okay, well, I took my class in June, and the last time this was offered in May, so I probably didn't take that class. You can also refer to your certificate, so it's a really good idea to keep that on hand. Now I'm going to transition over to my colleague Cassidy for the remainder of the presentation.
All right. One of the other updates that we have made on the training transcript is relating to the frequency that you will be required to attend these trainings. So the training transcript will now be broken down into 3 different categories, which are annual, biannual, and certifications and systems. So an important note when it comes to the annual and biannual trainings, that is referring to your contract cycle year rather than the calendar year. The certifications and systems section of the training transcript is relating to trainings that you may only have to take one time or that may have a longer certification period, such as the CPR training, which is active for 2 years before you have to retake that course. So these are some screenshots from the training transcript. So the top section of the new transcript will say annual topics, again indicating that this is meaning for your contract cycle rather than a calendar year. And in the all the trainings that are under this section of the training transcript will be required to be taken each contract cycle. There may be some additional time frame requirements, and those will be listed in the last column on the training transcript. So we can see, for example, the ADA and reasonable accommodations training is required within the first 90 days of hire, and then annually after that. The same thing goes for the biannual topics. This is a separate section on the training transcript, and all topics under this section will be required biannually. And if there's an additional requirement, such as being completed within the first 90 days, that will be listed in the last column. It's important to note that all the topics that are listed under the biannual portion in the training transcript must be completed within the first contract cycle of a new hire, and then biannually after that. Finally, we can see the certifications and systems training section. This includes things such as the CATCH system, HMIS, CPR and first aid, and things like that. Again, we can see in the last column that some of these trainings may have additional time limit requirements, such as within the first 90 days. But after that, it is, again, some of these might be a one-time training. Others, you will have to retake them whenever your certification expires. Additionally, on the new training transcripts and the new requirements, the audience for several of the trainings has changed. It's important to remember that the training transcripts is just a general guide, and your contract is what you should be referring to as far as who is required by your contract to attend which trainings and which get training on specific topics. On the new training transcript, we have client-facing staff, administrative staff, case managers, client-facing specialists, executive directors, financial staff, and program directors and managers. These will be listed in one of the columns for each of the training topics, telling you generally which staff type are required to attend each training. Additionally, so these are, again, screenshots from the training transcript. So we have a new section at the top of the transcript under the staff information section. These are position description checkboxes. We ask that you check which box applies for that specific staff member. So for example, if I was a case manager, I would check both the case manager box and also client-facing staff box because they're both relevant. And then looking at the training transcript, I would be required to attend all of the trainings that have case manager or client-facing staff in the mandatory staff column. You may remember previously that we had all staff in the mandatory staff column. We have moved to using client-facing staff instead. So client-facing staff is referring to those staff who have face-to-face interactions with clients. This includes resident monitors, people who are sitting at the front desk and welcoming clients into the building, things like that. So anyone who has direct interactions with the client. So that is it for the updates for our training transcripts. If you have any questions about anything that was presented during this video or any of the recent updates that we've made, please feel free to contact Jessica, myself, or you can email the training team general email, which is just training@community-partnership.org, and we will respond to you as soon as we can. Additionally, there's a QR code on this slide. You can scan that and then it goes to an anonymous feedback form. That is just if you have any additional comments that you may want to make anonymously about trainings generally, whether you love them or you have suggestions for how else we might be able to improve them. We would love to hear your feedback, and you can do so by scanning that QR code. Thank you for watching.